As we come on the air here at 5 o'clock, it is windy out there. We've had a good amount of rain today, as you can see it right behind us on our live Max HD radar. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Doug Proffitt.
And I'm Connie Leonard, and that's why we've issued a weather impact alert day here at WHAS11.
And our chief meteorologist, Mallory Schnell, is joining us right now. And Mallory, this is going to be bringing with it another quick change that we're all going to be talking about tomorrow.
Yes, big drop in temperatures, very sharp drop in temperatures, in fact, occurring overnight. So temperatures today have been flirting with the 60-degree mark in some spots, but overnight we're dipping down into the 20s. And of course, we were tracking all this moisture around today, so that could lead to some slick spots tomorrow morning. But first things first, Max HD radar. We're seeing a break in the radar coverage here in the Louisville metro area. But take a look at what is just off to our west. So Bedford, Paoli, English, down through Hardinsburg, Litchfield as well. You're seeing some pockets of moderate and maybe even heavy rainfall along with gusty winds. And this will continue to head our direction. So we have several hours of rain ahead of us. You're also seeing this very sharp line that I'm keeping a close eye on off to our west that could bring some strong winds to the area. Thankfully, nothing severe warned right now, but it will make for a messy evening commute, especially here in the next hour or so. Wind gusts in Louisville now getting close to 40 miles per hour. We're up to 37 right now, and this is all ahead of the front. So this is all the southerly wind that's picking up out ahead of the front that will be swinging in later on this evening. We could have a reinforcing front really knocking down those temperatures overnight. So expect a soggy evening. Gusty winds will continue through here 9, 10 o'clock, and then beyond that point, this is when temperatures start to drop overnight. Models showing a slightly better chance of seeing a few of these spotty snow showers overnight and into tomorrow morning. We'll have to keep an eye on the roads for your Friday morning commute, with highs tomorrow just topping out in the 30s. We'll talk much more about this weather impact alert and what you can expect through the rest of the 7-day forecast coming up in a bit, guys.
Developing here tonight at 5, Louisville Metro Police giving new details this afternoon after an officer shot and injured an armed suspect at 23rd and Chestnut Streets.
It happened this morning just before noon in the Russell neighborhood. Now, according to police, there was a heavy police presence on West Chestnut Street and 23rd Street due to a critical investigation. They say right around 11:45 this morning. We later learned that one officer was involved in the shooting.
No police officers were shot in this incident, but they say a man holding a gun was shot after reaching for his waistband. WHS11's Conroy DeLucia and photojournalist Connie Offit are joining us live from outside LMPD headquarters downtown. And Conroy, I know that you have the new details about the investigation as it's unfolded through the afternoon.
Doug, Connie, the man who was shot by police is in critical condition at UVL Hospital. They rendered life-saving aid so that he could be transported to the hospital after he was shot. Now at this hour, just after 5 o'clock, we don't know the man who was shot. We don't know his identity. We don't know any of the identities of the officers who responded. And all this unfolded just a few hours ago, about 17 blocks west of police headquarters. Just after 11:15 Thursday morning, LMPD says an alert went into dispatch. A shot spotter detection system signaled that shots were fired in the Russell neighborhood near this part of Chestnut Street.
Officers arrived in the rear alley and found a man wearing a jacket.
Police say that man ran off, but shortly after, officers found him in a backyard and ordered him to show his hands.
The suspect told the officer he had a gun and would only produce one hand in the air. After being ordered numerous times to raise his hands in the air, the suspect reached towards his waistband. One LMPD officer discharged his weapon several times, striking the suspect several times.
When it was safe, Deputy Chief Ryan Bates says the officers took the gun from the suspect, helped with aid, and he was transported to the hospital. LMPD says there is body cam footage of what happened, which we will be able to see in the next 10 business days. Now, once again, that man who was shot is in critical condition at U of L Hospital. No officers were injured in the shooting, and LMPD says that there's no lingering danger to the public. The officer's identity should be known in the next 3 days. Live in downtown Louisville from outside LMPD headquarters, Conroy DeLucia, WHAS11 on your side.
All right, Conroy, thank you so much. We'll continue tracking this developing story throughout the night as we learn more information. And of course, the best way to stay up to date is by downloading the WHAS11 app. You can download it wherever you get your apps.
Happening today, we are learning new details about the timeline for the new focus of the Blue Oval battery plant in Glendale, Kentucky after a major job loss we've learned about. Today, the governor talking about the jobs and the plans for rehiring. Ford is breaking away from its partnership with South Korean company SK On and taking full control of the Glendale battery plants. This shift means about 1,600 employees are going to be losing their jobs as Ford transitions production from electric vehicle batteries to energy storage batteries. The governor today saying his goal is to give as many options as possible for those who need help.
Ford's eventually going to hire 2,100 people, which is hundreds more than currently work at the facility. I also want to state that Team Kentucky is committed to making sure that all those affected by the switch from the Blue Oval ownership to Ford find either new opportunities with Ford or find other employment quickly.
The governor says the state is working with nearby employers and training centers during the roughly 16-month transition, as he told us today, as Ford reshapes the plant. He's also firing back at Congressman Brett Guthrie over electric vehicles and the fallout from the layoffs at the plant.
There was never a mandate. That is Congressman Guthrie pushing misinformation. There were tax credits to help Kentuckians afford EVs before their price comes down, which is what will happen. Congressman Guthrie also called it a liberal pipe dream. Tell that to the 1,600 people at Blue Oval who had secure jobs until he pushed through the big ugly bill that eliminated tax credits that Ford and SK were counting on.
The governor right there referencing the interview that Guthrie gave us this week, telling us in an interview that mandating everybody buy an electric vehicle is not what the American people want. Guthrie went on to say, quote, the liberals want everybody running around in an electric car. We don't have the grid for it. Bashir says the market for electric vehicles will continue to grow over time, but he stresses his priority now is helping the displaced workers find brand new jobs.
The Kentucky Supreme Court is reversing one of its own rulings that primarily affects JCPS. You may remember Senate Bill 1 passed in 2022. Well, it would shift the power away from the elected school board and into the hands of the superintendent. It also would dictate how often the board could meet per month. The Jefferson County School Board sued, claiming it took power away from elected officials. And at the time, the Supreme Court had a conservative majority and let the bill stand. But now, with the new makeup, they took a second look, striking down the bill, calling it unconstitutional. Well, Attorney General Russell Coleman sent a statement saying, quote, I am stunned that our Supreme Court reversed itself based only on a new justice joining the court. This decision is devastating for JCPS students and leaves them trapped in a failing system. But in a win for the JCPS board, Chair Corey Shull shared a statement saying, in part, I am grateful that the court has affirmed lower court rulings that JCPS voters and taxpayers should have the same voice in their local operations that other Kentuckians do through their elected school board members.
Religious organizations in Louisville can now apply to become overnight shelters that allows them to open their doors for people escaping homelessness or domestic violence.
But as our Ian Hardwick reports, the process to get approved started just this week, leaving little time for one church praying their shelter can open in January.
The Son of God was born homeless.
There was no room in the inn for baby Jesus. At Christ Church Episcopal Cathedral,
We're able to open the doors that were not open for Jesus' family on the night of his birth.
Dean Matthew Bradley prays there will always be room in the inn. It's an overnight shelter program that started in Nashville, bringing hundreds of people off the streets and into churches. Louisville just started its overnight shelter approvals for religious buildings.
What our primary concern will be is how quickly it can be turned around.
The Louisville Metro Council created the accessory overnight shelter back in September, but didn't actually pass the licensing requirements for it until this week in December. Permits require a fire escape plan and the posting of CPR instructions. Buildings must pass several inspections, which are more lenient than what permanent homeless shelters go through. It still includes sanitation requirements for beds.
So there are, on any given night in Louisville, people who don't have a place to come in.
Without enough beds citywide for Louisville's hundreds of unhoused, Bradley is in a rush to have 15 beds here and 15 at another church approved.
With the weather we've had recently, the difference between coming in and staying out can be a difference between whether someone lives or doesn't.
With an approval process in place, Bradley hopes Room in the Inn can grow with more churches willing to partner.
We don't proselytize to people who come. Some people choose to remain because it's a place where they're treated with dignity and humanity.
He recalls one woman in Murray, Kentucky, who came through doors like these for warmth during the 2008 recession.
She's buried in the memorial garden at our church. None of that would have happened without Room in the Inn.
This Christmas, Bradley's got one wish, one only the city of Louisville can grant. In downtown, Ian Hardwick, WHAS 11, on your side.
A lot of caring hearts here in Louisville, and Matthew Bradley says that the men's shelter will be in need of overnight volunteers if you can help.
And he's asking congregations to reach out through the Room in the Inn website. That's RITI, Louisville.org.
Right after this, you may have seen it last night, President Donald Trump addressing the nation from the White House, talking health care, drug prices, immigration, and the prices you're paying at the grocery store and elsewhere. The governor talked about that address from Frankfurt today.
And here's a look at today's Kentucky Lottery jackpots. Mega Millions, $90 million. Powerball up to $1.5 billion.
The Kentucky Lottery, funding education for over 1 million Kentucky students.